Welcoming the Line Opinion Panel back for one final discussion this week, and it's a tough one: the impact of fentanyl on crime in the state of New Mexico and the city of Albuquerque. We've covered these issues here on New Mexico in Focus, including an interview last week with author and former LA Times reporter Sam Quinones, but the problem is only growing. The Albuquerque Journal also published a powerful three-part series on the issue just this week. Give it a read if you have the time. It's definitely worth it. The DEA says it saw a 900% increase in seizures of the drug this past year, surpassing heroin as the #1 drug driving crime in Albuquerque. There are so many layers to this, from the manufacturing of the drug to distribution to the actual drug use. Let me start with Laura. Laura, is there a new way the state and law enforcement can tackle this problem? Because it seems at this point the current tactics are obviously not working or as effective as we'd like them to be.
Yeah, I read it, as I'm sure many of you did, the stories in the Journal, and I mean, it really reflects a level of hopelessness that I was not fully aware of among folks in our community. I think it just signals that people are looking for an escape, and unfortunately that escape for many is drugs. And then add to that these drugs are often laced with other things, or they're much more potent than what you would normally find in this kind of drug. It's really a crisis situation. I've had the opportunity recently to listen in on some through Leadership Albuquerque, which I'm doing right now. We just did a crime and public safety day, and had a chance to talk with the district attorney here in Albuquerque, as well as other programs that the county and the city are doing. And they're definitely trying to work on addressing this issue of providing more a community policing type of model, more working with nonprofits and other local agencies to try to address this issue where there's gaps between, you don't want to, people have a drug problem, you don't want to necessarily just incarcerate them. However, that often fuels a lot of public, property crime.
That's
and
right.
So there's a cycle there that certainly law enforcement is familiar with, the court system is familiar with. And I think we have to figure out how to add more resources to those that are trying to fill the gaps between those two, right? So that we're able to address this problem. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that there's very, very intelligent people working on it, and there's a need for more funding. So that's definitely an area where, some of the surplus, if we have that coming up in the next session, could seek to address this serious problem.
Interesting last point there, absolutely. Merritt, one step the DEA, just to follow on Laura's point there, one step the DEA has already taken is creating Operation Engage. That's a program that takes a deeper dive into community outreach, as Laura mentioned, reaching out to local law enforcement, schools, faith-based organizations, even medical professionals. How important are these types of programs, and can they be expanded beyond, as Laura mentioned, just money? We need people power to run these things too, don't we?
Absolutely. And I think one thing we have seen is the past 4 decades of zero tolerance for drug crimes has only resulted in us being, the democracy with the largest percentage of our population incarcerated.
That's right.
But it has not stopped the demand for drugs in our population. And so a zero tolerance, tough on crime approach is not, and particularly in Albuquerque, is not reducing violent crime, and it's not reducing property crime, and is not reducing drug use. So while as a conservative, I don't necessarily support more government spending, this is a place where we need to spend, because to Laura's point and to your point, this has so many layers. This is where we see the chronic homelessness and the brazen homelessness. You drive down I-40 and you see all the encampments. I mentioned in one more thing, just spending a Saturday night outside the Presbyterian downtown ER, you see the effects of addiction. You see addicts in need and people in crisis. One of the points the Albuquerque Journal mentioned is the estimate that 25% of our homicides are fentanyl related.
Wow.
This is a tremendous problem. And the scary thing, of course, is this is not like other drugs. It's easy to conceal. It's easy to manufacture. It's all chemical. So there's no raw material that has to be grown. There's no dependency. It can all be manufactured. So we do have to address resources and direct resources quickly into a variety of different areas. at law enforcement, at behavioral health, at treatment programs, at community outreach, and try and get some sort of from a treatment, from a stopping the flow of drugs to a greater community policing, because Albuquerque is becoming a scary and hopeless place to be.
It's a difficulty. And Senator, when you realize, we're so close to the border, and it's a big factor. The DEA and other agencies point to Mexican drug cartels as one of the main contributors to the problem here in our state. It's not an easy question to answer, but how can New Mexico collaborate with the feds and others, and maybe by extension the Mexican government, to get a handle on this?
Well, I think this is so new, and it really demands not just money and collaboration with Mexico, but this is a new class of drug users that are using social media, that are like non-professionals. They're rank amateurs, and yet they are dealing these little blue pills that are less expensive than heroin. Their effects are not stopped by Narcan. And
right.
the traditional weapons that have been used against overdoses. And so you're getting a tremendous number of overdoses among younger people.
That's right.
And it requires, the kind of person like Jennifer Burke. She started Serenity Mesa. She came to the legislature early on when her son was still alive, and talked about the danger of opioids. And this is an opioid, or an opioid cut with fentanyl. Her approach is a very one-on-one, personal approach to each of those people who are willing to play Russian roulette.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
this hopelessness is 2 out of 5
Yeah.
of these pills could be deadly.
It's amazing
And
when you
they're
think about
willing
it.
to do it.
That's right. Hey, Laura, picking up on Dee Dee's point, Dr. Brandon Warwick, he's an associate professor in the Department of Emergency Medicine at UNM Hospital. Oof, hard quote here. He said a recent troubling trend at UNMH is fentanyl overdoses in children. Before 2020, had only treated 2, but that number has significantly increased. Some with significant brain damage. No one has died. But what do we need to talk to kids about, drug literacy? Is there something here we need to change? Because obviously we can't go back to just say no. That's just not going to work. But something does need to be expressed to kids about this little blue pill and how dangerous it is.
You reached back with Just Say No to like my childhood.
Right.
Nancy Reagan stuff. There's I think a couple generations maybe now who have no idea what that means.
That's probably true.
But yes, I think there needs to be a lot more education. I think we need to do everything needs to be on the table, because it's not just educating children about drug literacy, but it's also, it's educating parents. It's trying to figure out what are the parents doing? Why are they being so irresponsible when it comes to taking care of their children? Like, what needs to happen in that family unit to protect those children? And this is a bigger issue. Obviously, we hear all kinds of news stories all the time about kids being in danger in their own home.
Right.
And that's a terrible situation that we've come to.
Yep.
So yes, I think drug literacy absolutely should occur. How that happens, I don't know, because that's a very difficult conversation. You don't want to, you want to educate, but at the same time, you don't want to sort of advertise what's out there.
That's a good
And
point.
that also have to recognize that kids are getting educated through Snapchat, through
That's right.
social media, all kinds of stuff, and
That's
that's not good.
What Dee Dee
place.
mentioned earlier, that's a tough thing to go up against, and it's going to take a lot of parental work to get on top of this. Thanks again to our Line panel, as always, this week. Be sure to let us know what you think about any of the topics the Line covered on our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram pages.